and welcome to The Lobby, GameSpot's weekly hangout every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific right here on GameSpot.com. First of all, I just want to say, notorious Conor McGregor, just wearing my dethroned shirt here. Did you guys enjoy the fight on the weekend?
I enjoyed that image you sent me that made me very happy I didn't watch the fight.
Robbie Lawler's face, like, opened up.
Did he talk the whole time?
He did. They interviewed him with his mouth open.
That's
UFC,
disgusting.
man. You think video games are violent?
So what caused that,
You
by
should
the way?
watch that. He got a kick or a punch or something. Elbow, probably, right?
Boom. That was the Skulls of the Shogun shirt.
Well, it works for both.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
fine.
Cool. Probably half the audience thought that as well.
Hot Windows Phone game.
Yeah.
Exclusive.
But we're not here to talk about Skulls of the Shogun. We're here to talk about
Why
The
not?
Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Ty Root, Andy Bauman.
Yes.
We've all been playing a bunch of The Witcher 3. What level are you?
25.
What level are you?
70. Just kidding. 20.
But this sounds like what?
Jesus
I
Christ.
downloaded a save game that has a level 70.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
That must
and
be
it's
fun.
hilarious. It also has 15 billion crowns.
Just decapitating people with one swing
You
every
just found
time.
a really nice loot chest, right?
Yeah.
All that money in it.
It was a Witcher 3 mod.
But the point is, we've all played the hell out of that game, and I feel
Yes.
like the summertime is even is perfectly set up for this because then we can keep playing it, but like the sort of lack of games that's going on.
And
I
dude-
played a bunch of games
Oh,
this
it's
weekend.
amazing.
I haven't even finished the freaking story.
No, me
and
neither.
I feel like I've gotten way more out of it than any
We
other
were
game
talking to
this
Chris
year.
earlier. He's level 22 and he hasn't gone to the Skellig
Yeah,
Islands.
I spent an hour yesterday trying to beat a fellow Witcher on a horseback race.
Oh, really?
Because
Gotta get that saddle.
Well, because fucking Roach, for some reason, when he gets to a bridge, freaks out and can't cross it. Like, he just stops. I know it's just being fixed soon, but still.
Yes, so they
Yeah.
have been fixing, they've been patching the game,
Yeah.
they've been adding a bunch of DLC and stuff. We'll get to that in a second. But the big patch that's come out is basically the one that's allowed you to change up your inventory, and it's got a bunch
That
of
comes
fixes
out
as well.
later.
This week.
I actually know when it comes out, but I can't tell you.
Oh, really?
Apparently.
Soon?
Very soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's got like a bunch of
Yeah.
fixes, which is kind of like traditional for CD Projekt games to release. Everything works now patch. But they've also been adding a bunch of free DLC. Andy, talk to me about this. You did a bunch of videos on GameSpot, basically like talking about each piece of DLC that they're releasing, like
Right.
over a dozen pieces of DLC.
16, right?
Yes. I
In
think
total. So a lot of them were just armor and
Costumes.
new looks for
Yeah.
the ancillary characters like
Yes.
Yennefer and Triss.
And this week's is
This
Ciri.
was Ciri, a new
Yeah.
look for
So-
Ciri, and then one of them was Gwent pack, which
Yeah.
So you guys are into Gwent. I'm not into Gwent.
Gwent!
It's another layer on top of this
I'm
game that I just
totally
don't
addicted to
have
that.
the energy to like dive into.
I just boot up The Witcher now to get to Gwent.
Yeah,
I want it to be a separate
they're
executable
probably
on Steam.
someday.
It's pretty good.
Maybe. I don't
What
know.
other stuff they got? New weapons as
new-
well?
No.
Yeah, they have
Oh, crossbow.
Yeah.
They did
And
crossbow
quests.
elite.
and Quest.
And no, but yeah, so
Yeah.
I was saving that for last because that's what I was waiting. I was like, yeah, let's do some new quests because these are the best things about this game are the side quests, right? So there's like what 4 or 5, maybe 4 quests, and I've played them all. They're all really good. They're all short but sweet, and I think it just goes to show that CD Projekt is super like good at using their tools to make
There's one now
the
with the pig.
content, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because
Pig
they
quest.
can just like do the dialogue, do the animation, do the
piggies.
do the cinematic shots of the when you're talking. Even like program pigs to be in it and like talk to you. Spoiler, kind of. And then it's like they get the
Ooh, there's a book.
they draw a lot of references to the books in the DLC quest because like, hey, why not? Like this is their time for their super fans to actually like dig in harder and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're the ones that are probably going to seek out these quests, like me. So it's like, they're just awesome to play through. But like they're
Pretty quick.
they're quick, then
Yeah.
easy, and just armor and quests.
Well,
it's like
some are quick.
So saying like
Yeah.
16 DLC
Yeah.
things is like it's a little bit of a PR like in their column.
for
like,
sure.
They get a win.
Because presumably down the road they'll want us to
Yeah.
purchase
Yeah.
some items.
Which will happen, but
I mean,
it
there's
is
some
super
good
cool. Like compared to
Yeah.
other games that would charge you for all this little like nickel and dime you.
Or other games that would pull back so much content. That
Yeah.
you'll like my problem with Destiny being that there's not that much in the game, so that's why everyone's buying all the DLC. Whereas,
Right.
like they're giving you free DLC in this game, but you don't even need it. That's
Man,
the
this
thing.
game is
There's
already
no-
chock-a-block.
200
There's no
hours.
cheap tactics here, you know. Like it's not like we were discussing Dragon Age Origins, where like
Yeah.
you got like a free piece of DLC with the game, and then you go to like your camp, and there's some guy going, "Hey, by the way, you should buy this piece
He's
of
like,
DLC."
you want to hear about a story? Up on
Yeah,
the hill?
and
Pay
it's
me
like-
$5.
So not only are you
Go
breaking
there.
the immersion, but you're trying to fuck me over as well at the same time.
Yeah.
So this is not like that at all. I think this is more meaty stuff. Even the side quests, I think, are meaty. I mean, they released the wolf gear. Like those scavenger hunts are probably my favorite part of that game. I mean, I spent so many hours trying to hunt for like feline armor, ursine armor, and now I'm doing the wolf armor.
Yeah.
And like I spent so much time last night just trying to get that stuff, and it does last a long time because you know you have to be certain levels, and then you can go all the way up to like level 34 stuff, and like it's like mastercraft gear. So I mean, I think there's some meaty content there. There's also some stuff I don't want to talk about because it's heavy in spoilers. But there's some amazing side quests. They're like. The Skellige's Most Wanted, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, that's a really cool one.
Awesome one. I mean, it's such a great side quest. It has relevance to the entire game. Once you get to that level, I encourage a lot of people to go play it.
Excellent. So that's all the stuff that they've been sort of like handing out piecemeal over the past couple of weeks.
Yes.
And they've also patched the game, which is great for people, especially with in terms of the controller fixes. I feel like a lot of people have been asking for.
And the inventory especially.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
I
the
think
book
people
stuff.
are gonna love.
But on top of
like
that,
they
later
care.
on this year, we have actual paid DLC coming out, and that also sounds like it's pretty expansive.
Meaty.
Right. So according to GOG, on October 31st, they're going to release a thing called Hearts of Stone, which must be a little reference there. But a 10-hour adventure that takes place in No Man's Land, right?
Okay.
So they're just building more quests in an existing land.
Have they said whether that's going to be post-campaign?
Yeah,
Because you
good
can play the
question.
game after the story's finished.
It probably is irrelevant to like.
Just fits right in.
Yeah,
maybe.
just like get a contract and it goes crazy. Probably. I don't know.
And that's the smaller of 2 expansion packs that they're talking about.
Correct. A big one for $20, I think.
Well, I don't know what they are individually. I think you can buy a pass for 20. Well, I know you can buy a pass for $25.
They're $19.99 and $9.99, but you get both for $25.
Okay,
25.
cool.
Yeah.
Which actually is pretty reasonable. I don't
For
know.
30 hours of content, it's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah. So the
I don't
second
want to be
one.
ragging on Destiny too much.
Yeah.
But those ones cost more than $25.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, they
No, they
don't.
don't. Some of them do.
Destiny Defenders back there.
Yeah.
man.
Oh, yeah,
The
sorry.
second one, which comes out in Q1, slated. They don't know for sure. Is going to be called Blood and Wine. 20-hour thing with a brand new area.
That's pretty
A
cool.
whole new area called Toussaint or something.
Great. Do you remember that from the books?
If I did, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's like too much. There's
Yeah.
too much like Witcher stuff, man.
Too much weird words. I
Yeah.
keep hearing Irish words thrown in there out of
the-
context that are like, why did he say Tershocked? That's weird. That's not how you say crack on crotcha.
That's why I
What's
like
going on?
Skellige so much, man. It just reminds me. I feel like I'm just talking to your people the entire time.
Yeah, it's great. Skellig Islands, man. They're just owned by a bunch of people from Belfast, apparently. Yeah, so all that stuff's coming out late next year, so we're
Yeah.
going to be playing even more Witcher. What does this like make you feel about when you're... Because there's been so many games that come out, you know, it's not just the game that I keep mentioning, but like games like Evolve, for instance, where like right up front they were talking about, here's our strategy, this is what you get in the
like
box.
Batman, you sell skins. It's like
Yeah.
you buy a season pass, you get
Well,
a few skins. Like
I mean, it's
Assassin's
it's
Creed, all
It's
that
no
stuff.
secret, like a lot of gamers feel burned. I mean, the fact is, like, you have a lot of games in the past. We just mentioned Dragon Age Origins. You had like things like Mass Effect, where you know Mass Effect 3. There's like this like From Ashes DLC that you can buy for $10.
Yeah.
But like it involves a very important character that's a big integral part of
Right,
the story.
yeah.
You're like, why is this not free? And then you have things like companies like Capcom who like include the DLC in the disc.
Yeah.
But lock it behind the paywall, essentially, you know? So it's, I think, I mean, obviously, I think people are learning from their mistakes. Now, what I like about CD Projekt Red is, like, they're clearly passionate about their audience and what their fans want. And I think it's great to see that content, like, that push for content, whether it's free DLC, like the 16 pieces that we're getting now, and then the expansion packs that are actually, you can call them meaty expansion packs.
Yeah.
It's not like 2 to 3 hours of experience. It's more like, you know, you get 30, you know, and it's good bang for your buck. And you know, despite the fact I still believe games are cheaper now than they ever have been.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when you count for inflation, I still think that you're getting a lot of value here. And they clearly care. They're gamers too, so they get it.
So going forward, do you think that like sets a different precedent now? Because we kind of, for a while, it looked like we had gotten used to getting nickel and dime post-release. Do you think a game like The Witcher, because it's like had this sort of widespread success, it's sold really well, it's been on like consoles and PC and been critically lauded and also like loved by gamers. Do you think because this is the game that's done this, that like that it's almost like set back that sort of push into nickel and diming gamers that we've seen happen for the past, you know, couple of years?
I don't know, because CD Projekt, they've been super smart and kind of like sat back and watched what's happened to the industry before they like had a plan for this game. And they're operating at like such a big scale now compared to what they were before. So they can like have a group of designers make armor and kind of like have that cost built in to the 4 million units or the 1.5 million pre-orders.
Yeah.
Like they have all this planned out, right? And plus, they're probably operating at like a little less of a cost than say like your EA or something because they're in Poland. And maybe it goes further. The dollar goes further there. So yeah, it's hard to say because they're private too. So it's like they can do whatever they want. They can just look as good as they want to look, and gamers will appreciate that, and everybody benefits.
They're not beholden to some shareholders who are acquiring them to push forward. Yeah.
To be honest, like that shouldn't. Like the CD Projekt way would actually benefit probably every company.
Right.
So like it would be better for shareholders if other companies did this.
You win the trust of your fans.
Yeah, I just don't think they have that much. They're not looking far enough ahead. They're looking at like the quarter. So they're like, let's sell this right now in the quarter thing. And CD Projekt's like, let's like build trust with our gamer fan. And so they're gonna buy 5 million copies of freaking Cyberpunk because they know what. Like,
well, I guess if you're releasing a game every 3 to 4 to 5 years, you probably want to make sure you've got people who are going to support you when you release your next game. I guess.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, you look at games now. There are plenty of games that are short, right? We're talking like 4 to 6 hours, and they're with no replayability value whatsoever. They're still $60. So you have something like The Witcher. It's $60. It's like a 100+ hour experience. Not to mention you have all that free DLC. You are winning the favor of your audience at that point and the trust, and at some point they're going to look and be like, okay, here's an expansion pack. I played I played a bunch of side quests they released for free. They were actually good. I can only imagine what the expansion packs will be now.
Yeah, they'll probably have a pretty good percentage on the amount of people that'll pick up their post-release expansion pack. I guess we'll have to find out. Ty and Andy, thank you so much for coming on and talking about Geralt with me. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. We're going to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's. Real hard turn there after this, but we'll be back in just a second with a split screen teaser for Gunscape. It's like a landscape, but guns. Five Nights at Freddy's. There's already 4 of them.
4.
Well, no, there's already 3 of them. There's nearly 4 of them. Soon, there might be 5. What's going on at Freddy's? This is a game that came out August of last year, initially. You played the first one, Justin. Mary, you've been prolific. You've played the second and third ones on a bunch of live streams here at GameSpot. They're gearing up for a 4th game, which is going to be released on the anniversary of the first game. What the hell is going on with this series, Mary?
Yeah, it's amazing that you can crank out 4 games in 1 year, and it's all basically one guy, Scott Lawson, who like has created this.
But is he making the same game every year or every couple of months? Because from the outside looking in, it looks like it's the same like basic mechanics for each one of these. Just explain what a Five Nights at Freddy's game is to like folks who might not know.
Right. I mean, this grew out of such a simple concept, which is that you're a security guard and you're checking all these cameras and you're stopping these animatronics from basically trying to shove you in their suit, which is filled with gears that would essentially kill you. But Scott did change up the game significantly for each time. So in the first one, you're this guard. You get there's about 4 main ones that come and get you. There's Chica, who typically comes, that's Bonnie, the bunny. She typically comes from the west. Chica comes from the east. And then you have Foxy, that piece of shit. I hate him the most. And then there's Golden Bear himself, Freddy. And they mix it up. In the second one, there's a lot more options. There's like a balloon boy and They start coming through the ventilation systems. So
Jesus Christ.
this is me and Alexa playing it later. So you'd think that you'd change. Now you can put a mask on and protect yourself. But there's a musical box that you have to complete. You have to consistently keep playing. And then in the third one, then you become a part of the attraction. So you're no longer a security guard at the place. You are a part of an attraction at like an amusement park, and people are just watching you freak out.
Right.
So he is going, which is really fascinating because the game itself, is it that interesting? Not really. But what makes it interesting is maybe the lore and the stories that these characters are telling. So in the first one, there's a lot of hints that you're actually, children died. There was like a shootout and like children died there. And so their spirits are basically inhabiting these animatronics, and then that's what's killing people. So that's what's so fascinating. And now they're like, starting to kind of really hone in on that. Well, then that's the lore that makes this game so interesting to people. I don't really actually think it's the mechanics. It's just the
more
deep
than the
gameplay.
game.
Yeah.
Well, it's that it has this cult following. It's that people delve in, even from the very first game, is that they kept diving into the story and it's like, what does this all mean? And that we keep writing about it, that it keeps popping up in the news because people are finding new things and like new connections between the games. And that itself, like that thing that they've created around it, is actually kind of exciting.
Is this just basically the 21st century of, version of us like saying Bloody Mary into mirrors? Because it's like this whole like creepypasta, Slender Man era of games, or like especially like internet myths, which kind of propagate, especially with young audiences. So you tend to like these games, whenever you like look up like Twitch streams or like YouTubers playing them, it's always seems to be targeted at that sort of like young gamer who might not necessarily be buying this game, but just it's got this massive following around people playing it.
That's such a fascinating concept, Danny. It's like not that the game itself is so terrifying, but what could be. The recesses of your imagination is really what the most scary thing is about this series, and you could see that even like, I don't know, like 10 years ago when the Blair Witch Project came out, right? What people, the movie was not scary, but what was scary about it was the concept that this might exist, right? And so there was all this lore on the internet about what actually happened and did these people really die? And there was always, this was based on a true story of all these people who died. And so this is what kind of happened with Freddy, is that people started thinking that this was based off of true stories of people actually dying, and then
because
it
of
kind of created
animatronic
into
bears
this,
at
and
a
that's
Chuck E.
what
Cheese.
created the scariness of it.
Yeah.
But like that's what's interesting, and I think that's what appeals to so many people. And so he's kind of like stepped it up a notch in this fourth one. You're going to see a lot of, from what you can see in the trailer, there's a lot that you can gather. It's being in a house now. That's really fascinating. And so you're home, and they're here in your home.
Why would you have animatronic things in your home?
That's a really good question, Danny. So there's two possibilities. One would be that this guy took them home after Freddy's burnt down to the ground. He collected them and brought them home, maybe to like recreate
as you want to
them
do
or
with
something.
animatronic animals.
Yeah, nothing's better than having animatronic animals in your house.
Two, this was something that you were learning about, and now you've gone insane.
Oh,
and this
okay.
is in your imagination, and this is something that you're just concocted in your brain, and it could actually make you, I don't know, have a heart attack or die.
So you are now the kid watching the YouTube streams who's now gone crazy and thinks that maybe something like that?
It's possible. I think that's, what's so, there are like these mini Freddy minions that are on your bed that's behind you, so this is like different. So instead of cameras, there's been no cameras officially that I can tell yet, but there's a right door and a left door in which they pay homage to the original Freddy because Chica and Bonnie make a return, and they're from the same direction. So again, Chica is
You've got
east
such
and
depth
Bonnie is
of
west.
knowledge and all this
It's
sort
like,
of stuff.
this is what's so fascinating about it, though, is that people have like paid attention to these
But
things,
you kind
right?
of have to, right? Because there's nothing really else going on. Like, I think one of my favorite things I like is that the trailers are clearly just made by somebody on like Vegas or something.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's
like
like so budget. But so what do you think about like a game? They're worth like nothing on Steam. They cost nothing. It's like $5 like you can basically get like 3 of them, I think, for something like $20, all 3 of them now in a pack. Like, Justin, do you think it's okay to release 4 games of the same, like, even if you created a genre on your own, basically, is it still okay to release 4 games within, 12 months of each other?
Well, of course. And part of it is like the DLC that we're getting with something like The Witcher. Like you're not just you're getting the main game and you get something to experience, and then you get a map pack a month later, and then another map pack a month after that. And kind of interestingly, kind of as a side note, the game was supposed to come out. The next Freddy was supposed to come out on Halloween. He's pushed it up to the anniversary of the first game, and there's going to be a free update to the game coming in Halloween.
Cool.
And for me, I think that's a really smart way for an indie dev like this, who's created something that has really caught on with people, to keep getting that attention and keep getting money, to keep getting paid to make this game. And if people are still interested in it and they want new levels, they're well, why not pay for kind of what this is, which is a substantial update, instead of saying I'm going to make the entire game. What if he had spent the past couple of years making all of these into one huge game?
Right.
He wouldn't have necessarily have even had the money to do that. But this has let him create something that's kind of small at the beginning, and oh, this has a following and people like this. Let me make the next big set of levels for it. And just keep going in that way.
I don't think he had any idea that this would
big.
blow up the way it had. I think this was a surprise, and you can definitely see the budget in the trailer. I think he still has these humble beginnings. There's this part in the end where the logo kicks in and the background is red and then just flicks off. It's just who paid you to do that? He just did that in a sitting on the afternoon on a trackpad, awkwardly throwing it together. But no one gives a shit. And nobody even cares that the graphics aren't incredibly amazing. The animations
Probably
are
works in
incredibly
its
crude.
favor.
Yeah.
Well, I heard that the original idea of the animatronics was because he had created a game previously and people criticized it because everyone looked like they were animatronics.
They look too scary.
Yeah.
He used to make a lot of Christian games, actually. So he was really...
That's a hard swing.
It is, isn't it not? And he said he doesn't have any regrets about it or anything. That was just something that he dabbled in. But because those animatronics were so scary, he said one night he was just wow, what if I scared the shit out of people?
Turn your weakness into a strength.
That's right. I mean, it's a little Cinderella story, but with scary murder.
There you go, Five Nights at Freddy's. It's out on iOS as well. There apparently is some sort of movie in the works, I've heard. Who knows, the internet, that could all just be nonsense as well. Maybe very well it's true. Last question for both you guys. Do you think this is something we could see on a next-gen console, Justin?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Part of it is just he needs to maybe reach out to Microsoft or Sony, or get them to reach out to him. This seems like it would be, in some ways, a really good fit for console. It would be something fun. It would definitely expand the audience.
Maybe a couch game with... Were any of these games two-player?
No, but I mean, a lot of times you'd play them with friends, but it's a single-operated game.
Because everybody can be scared when something comes up on screen and just,
Yeah. And imagine the possibilities of Five Nights at Freddy's with Oculus and actually turning behind you and seeing them.
All right.
It's totally possible.
Yeah, okay.
Killer app for Morpheus.
Five Nights at Freddy's
seriously,
8
killer. It will
coming to Oculus.
murder you.
Actually, yeah, a Morpheus version of Five Nights at Freddy's sounds all right. All right, Five Nights at Freddy's. It's out later either
8th.
next month, August 8th, on the PC. That is the fourth game in the series, and you can check out the other 3 on Steam right now. We'll be back in a second. Speaking of indie games, Guild of Dungeoneering, a game we played right here, actually, during our St. Paddy's Day. It was a piss-up. Let's just call it a piss-up. Stream.
We should do it again.
Yeah, we should do that. Maybe Paddy's Day. Wait, do you guys have any... we should have done it for July 4th. What's the next big drinking, festival?
Friday.
Every Friday.
Thirsty Thursdays.
Third Thursdays.
Yeah.
Christmas?
Thanksgiving. No, Thanksgiving is a big
Oh, yeah.
Oh, anytime there's family involved, there's drinking.
Yeah, say me.
Yeah,
Same here.
yeah. It's not an Irish thing. It's a family thing.
Family's a problem.
It's just anyone who has family drinks when they're around.
But speaking of drinking, I don't know. Guild of Dungeoneering is out in a couple of days, I believe, and here's a trailer for it. It's a pretty good game. Check it out.
Okay, people, listen up. Let me tell you about the guild where dungeoneers will be killed. A new volunteer, hurrah, 3 cheers. Oh, it's dungeoneer time. Look at these pitiful fools. Dungeoneering is deliciously cool. Play your cards right, you might win a fight. Oh, it's dungeoneer time. See how they run away. You recruits can get all the loot. Oh, it's dungeoneer time. Let me hear you again now.
Earlier this week, the games industry was shook to hear of the tragic early passing of Nintendo CEO Satoru Iwata. On Sunday evening was when the news sort of came through that he had sadly died of a problem with a bile duct cancer, I believe. On Saturday night, Nintendo put out an announcement, and the world of video games sort of reeled back and thought about the impact that this one individual had on our beloved hobby. Justin, the news breaking on Sunday, where were you when you heard it?
Oh, I was on my way back from Comic-Con. Like I was literally in the cab, and one of our news guys, Eddie McCoo, texted me. He was like, "Satoru Iwata just passed away," and I have no idea what I should do, like, because I'm on the cab on the way to go, like, and of course, like, we don't want to take advantage of something like that, but it's such a huge thing. Like, you want to make sure that we're honoring that memory in the right way, but also letting our audience know, like, this is a huge important thing that just happened. And of course on GameSpot there was a lot of content that we put around it because he has made such a huge impact, despite being someone who I've probably in recent years has seen more corporate. He's been the president of Nintendo. He's had a huge impact in development of games and in the shape of Nintendo for such a long time. And it's like, what are the ways that we can honor that? They're like, we're not a traditional news organization. We don't just have all these obituaries written, although maybe we should start doing that. But and that he was taken so suddenly, that he was a young guy.
55 years is not old. We knew that obviously he was unwell last year at E3. He had a limited participation. This year, of course, they did the sort of motif with their Nintendo Direct of having him and Reggie and everyone as puppets. Was there ever any sort of concern on your guys? Was there any because it never dawned on me in the moment, but presumably he's actually been still sick this whole time.
The last Nintendo Direct, he looked much thinner. Like, it was noticeably thinner. And then when you had this Nintendo Direct and that they didn't appear at all, it wasn't like a transition into puppets. It was literally a puppet the entire time. Like, that definitely made us a little bit more concerned. But he's at the same time, he's such a young person, like someone who can overcome something like that it was still quite a surprise.
Let's step away from the sort of tragic event and maybe frame this or center on this on the wonderful work he did during his life and his time at Nintendo. He started off in, was he working at HAL, or did he work on some games before he was at HAL?
He started working on some games on his own. He famously picked up an HP calculator and started programming games, and that kind of got him into it. At a time when being a game developer wasn't a respected position, especially in Japan, it was something you wouldn't admit. And he started working in Akihabara, which is the sort of nerds epicenter of Tokyo, making games with his friends, and working at HAL. He then ended up helping Nintendo fix one of their games, Pinball. And from there, they had a really good working relationship. HAL actually went under some financial issues, and Hiroshi Yamauchi, who is the last member of the founding family of Nintendo to be the president of the company, brought HAL in because they had such a good relationship. And in 2002, Yamauchi appointed Satoru Iwata as president of Nintendo because he shared the same lateral thinking when it came to utilizing technology. The sort of thought that we always have to chase the bleeding edge of tech is a losing battle to these guys because there's always going to be something better. So they thought, okay, how can we take technology that exists and utilize that in an interesting way? And that was sort of how, that was the Game Boy. That was the same thing that Gunpei Yokoi, the inventor of the Game Boy, used to create that. And this was Iwata's thinking when it came to designing something like the Wii. It used existing hardware from the GameCube, but it tweaked it in a different way. And that sort of thinking is something that Iwata, carried with him. But he was also someone who was very passionate about the creation of games, not just the business of games. And he famously would help, he'd be walking around the floor and watch people make games and say, no, there's a problem with that, and sit down and start programming. Like, the president of the company walking behind you takes your chair and does your job for you. But that's because he cares and he's knowledgeable and he knows what he wants.
There was an interesting anecdote. He was on Game Center CX, which is this Japanese program, recently, and he did an interview with the guys. And it's kind of a fun program where they play video games. And he was talking about how his father did not condone him being a video game designer. Like, that's not a job. And he was like, the interviewer was saying, well, didn't that make you want to turn away? That you want to, in Japan, very respectful of your family, especially from his generation. And he was like, no, this is what I was passionate about. I want to make games, and this is what I cared about. And it paid off, obviously, that he's brought, I think, more legitimacy to games than anybody else. Like, that's what Nintendo has done for us. That as much as we think of them as a kid system, it's more that they're friendly, like they're an everybody system. And he's one of the driving forces behind that.
Yeah, he came in, obviously, I think was the GameCube already sort of on the way out by the time he came in.
Yeah.
But, you know, part of the teams who developed and masterminded the Wii, the DS as well. His you know, two of perhaps the most mainstream successful, you know, consoles, both in the house and handheld of all time. His later career involved the 3DS, which obviously had a lot of problems. He famously took a pay cut as well after the investors' call with the sort of lack of success of the Wii U as well. It is sort of sad that the last two things that he was involved in ended up being parts of Nintendo that perhaps didn't strike the iron quite as hot as the Wii and 3DS.
I don't know if I'd say that about the 3DS. The 3DS definitely started out slowly, but it's picked up momentum so much. It is still the dominant handheld, and it's hard to reach the peak of what the DS was, but it's definitely come a long way. Just like it's impossible to compare yourself to the Wii, which was a system that transcended console, that transcended gamers. That became like a mobile device almost. The Wii U hasn't lived up to that, isn't surprising.
Is that just the nature, though, of having that mindset of being on the critical edge and trying things different? Is that for every Wii U that you have a Wii? For every sort of dangerous idea that didn't really take off, you have one that completely revolutionizes an industry?
Well, I mean, that's the risk you take whenever you try to innovate, right? I mean, you really don't know how things are going to pan out until you give it a shot. And sometimes you strike gold, sometimes you find coal. Do you find coal? I think you make coal. I don't know.
That's still a positive, right? Because you can sell coal.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and I still love playing my Wii U as well.
I don't know. I kind of want to go back to the fact that he took the pay cut. You know, we live in an industry where studios tend to shudder when a game doesn't do well, or even when a game just finishes and the company gets rid of them.
We live in a world where CEOs get shuffled, where they pretend they did a good job and move on to the next company.
Yeah.
He was there for years.
And it's something that's particular to Japan, but also at Nintendo, where when you become an employee at a company, you're an employee for life, in most cases. And when you look at Nintendo and you look at the people who are there, you know, and when you consider Iwata as well, there was sort of an old guard that was protecting everything. And the fact that it seems that he cherished the company and people enough because he had been taken care of so well that he sought to sort of pay back, you know, that loyalty by not getting rid of people, by doing what it took to keep the company and his employees alive is remarkable, and that just speaks to the sort of person that we lost, and I think why it means so much. It's not just that he was a well-known person, is that he was a well-known person who was respected and respected his peers.
Yeah. What do you think, finally, this means for the future of Nintendo? Obviously, with the NX, presumably we'll see it in 2016. The future of Nintendo with their partnerships in mobile and whatnot. That's been a carrot on a stick for a lot of people, a lot of companies recently.
Well, in the immediate future, direction. We're not going to see any change in the next year or the year after that even. Like, any kind of change will take years because the Nintendo itself has always been a slower moving company, as we've seen. But at the same time, it does, of course, make me worry a little bit. Like, that Iwata is someone who came from the ranks. He's like Miyamoto. He's a designer. He's a creator. And he was able to speak to that side of being a president. And I hope that Nintendo continues with that the next person who comes into that role is equally passionate and equally creative. And I imagine Nintendo has to keep up that idea. That I wouldn't think that they would ever bring in someone who's like, oh, and now we're going to monetize the shit out of this. Like, I think both as respect to his memory and out of respect to the type of company that they are. And it wasn't particular to just Iwata. That's what Nintendo was about. And he was an amazing representation of that. And I think that they'll find somebody who will continue that same legacy.
I hope they will. I think it's going to be a massive challenge for them to do that. It's, you know, they've been so lucky over the years to have people who are so passionate about the company and about gaming at large. I don't think that's easy to replicate. I don't think that's easy to put out like a call for a job. Like, you need these qualities. Like, that's something you prove through years of dedication and struggle.
Yeah.
And I don't know who at Nintendo can do that. I don't think Miyamoto is suitable for that role at this point in his career.
I don't think he wants to.
No, I don't. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like, it's way too late for him to take over in that capacity. So I don't know who at Nintendo is really there. I mean, we don't see that many people.
I think a good fit would be someone like me. Just going to throw my hat out there. If you want a Noonan president,
It's a thing, and we may look back at this in 3 or 4 years, 5 years, and think this was the end of one era of Nintendo. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. Justin and Peter, thank you so much for coming on, and thanks to Iwata-san as well for all the wonderful video games and consoles that we enjoy playing. May he rest in peace. We better not finish a show on such a somber note. Let's look at what we have. Anything left here on the running order? A giveaway! We got a giveaway! Talk about hard turns. We have a giveaway, a pretty tasty one actually. PlayStation 4 Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombies Mystery Box. That's why I looked it up on the laptop and didn't try and learn it before the show. http://www.gamespot.com/PS4-call-of-duty-giveaway/ Go over there and you have a chance to win the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombies Mystery Box. Mary, what's in the mystery box? It's a mystery apparently. What's in the box? Are you Kevin Spacey? What's in the box?
Wait, aren't they showing you what's in the box right there?
It's a pretty friggin' good box. They only made like 8 of these, I think. All the details there on the page if you want to win. Just get in there and fill in the details. What you say? It's a PS4 Black Ops 2. A sick box. Keep going, Mary. Lithographs. Anything else? It's a box. What's in the box? Check it out. You can go to the URL on screen now. I'm sure somebody's spamming it in the chat right now, and I'm sure our diligent folks on the GameSpot Twitter and Facebook pages will be putting it up there as well. If you want to win yourself a PlayStation 4 in a sweet box, and you want to win some lithographs and maybe a mystery, go over to that page, fill in the details, and cross your goddamn fingers and toes. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on today. What else are you doing this week on GameSpot.com? You don't know because you're doing the news. You don't know.
Every day is a surprise.
You
I don't know. What's going to happen? I don't, games. Jared Leto being Joker. Who knows?
I guess. Peter Brown.
We're building a $400 PC. We're kind of revisiting that feature we did last year where can you build a gaming PC for the price of a console?
Yeah.
And if you can, how well will they compare to the consoles? Now that they both cost $400, tech has gone down in price a little bit on the PC side, although not much. We're putting that to the test to see how that works out. Look for it this weekend if I get my shit done.
Excellent. And my review of F1 2015 should hopefully be hitting the site today or tomorrow. It's going through QA at the moment, which usually takes about 2 weeks with my reviews because they're so badly written.
It's all those Irish colloquialisms.
Exactly. I keep saying shillelagh and top of the morning, Codemasters. There is a quick look up on GameSpot.com from our partners over at Giant Bomb if you want some information on that. Yeah, and we'll have an episode of The Point this week as well, which will be all about the life and work of Mr. Iwata. Until then, we will see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Play some Nintendo games with your friends, and we will see you next Tuesday. Adios.
Now E3 is over. You did a good job.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll see you at dinner.
Okay. See you later. じゃあ後で。
じゃあ、また。
You, non-specific action figure, did the best job.